All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to class. Um, Actually, we are going to start standing. Sorry about that. So come on up and grab one block. So today, I want to do some movement right off the bat. And then we're going to take it down to the floor and do some yin or some longer stretches to make sure that we do a little bit of yang, a little bit of yin. So let's just take that block between the thighs. Spread out your toes, maybe rock on the sides of the feet just to really get your grounding. And then parallel the feet and feel how a gentle sorry, I'm fussing with the lighting because the lighting is a bit off this morning. um, just a little gentle internal rotation of the upper thighs without locking out the knees. The shoulders move up to the ears and then roll back and down, and then just shake out those arms. We it's a weird thing to think about the shoulders being a part of the back body, right, as opposed to the front body because we're always so rounded. So think of the shoulders as part of the back body. Let's move them to the back body. Little bit of squeeze of the block, slight internal rotation of the upper thighs, and then which will help widen those sit bones. And then just a really nice groundedness through the feet. Especially notice if you are weighing heavy on the outsides of the feet and see if you can bring them into the inner line of the foot of each foot. So the big toe mounds are pressing down, the toes are spread out. The shins, weirdly, right? They almost feel like they're pressing in toward each other, which is going to make you feel like that block is squeezing a little bit. And then the other thing that we really want to watch for is not pressing the pelvis forward. We want to keep it seated back so that the thighs stay back, so that the shins draw in. All of this kind of very subtle uh, alignment. Crown of the head up, shoulders to the back body, hands are resting at your sides. I would not artificially turn them out. I would just let them be. And then, if you're comfortable, close the eyes. And notice as you stand here, if you tend to let go, like all of a sudden I really notice I'm not squeezing that block, or I'm noticing that I start leaning to the outer pinky edge of my feet. Maybe I've locked out the back of my knees. Where do you go when we aren't kind of paying attention? Is the chest lifted? Are the shoulder blades drawing down the back? There's a tiny little tone to the lower belly so that we're not poking our butts out, right? We just feel this alignment. And with the eyes closed, can you just do a little scan down and then a little scan back up? And notice where do you notice this? Where do you feel this? What's happening in your particular body as you work with this particular alignment, right? And I say that on purpose because this is mountain pose alignment. Maybe it's not your mountain pose alignment. Maybe this is not where you need to be in your body. So release it a little bit and just turn the toes out a little. Just relax that. So it barely turned out, but if I look down, the toes are pointing out just a little bit. And then squeeze the block and notice what happened or didn't happen. For some of you, this probably feels marvelous. For me, I lose the internal rotation of the thighs. I feel like I'm more externally rotating now, which makes sense. The toes are out. How does that feel in my particular body? How does it feel in your particular body? Did we lose something else in the process? And then look down at your feet and just take the heels, line them back up with the toes. So if the toes were out, now your feet are still squared, but maybe the feet are slightly wider. Inhale, reach up. You're going to exhale halfway down, bend the knees a bunch, take your hands to your thighs or above your knees, and draw the shoulders back. If your feet feel like they're too wide, maybe Meryl, yours might be a little too wide, I would walk them in a little bit, keep them parallel, and imagine like popping that block out from behind you. So feel the sit bones widen, feel the inner thighs broaden toward the back, lengthen the spine, maybe walk your hands down to your shins. Press into the shins, but don't let the shins move. Don't lock out the knees. I have a soft bend in my knees. I can turn sideways and breathe. Big tone to the belly here so we don't move into the lower back. 1, you're here. This is plenty far enough. 2, you're going to lower even more and maybe take the fingertips to the floor. Now, some of you have blocks. Probably all of us have blocks at this point. Feel free to use your blocks. But I kind of like this idea of bending the knees as opposed to raising the hands. So just play there if you can. Hands can stay on the shins. The knees are soft. Draw the shoulders down and away from your ears and isometrically externally rotate the shoulders or the arms. So you're not really moving anything, but you're opening up the shoulders, still squeezing that block. And then walk the fingertips forward, or if your hands were never on the floor to start with, maybe you grab one block, your second block, and just walk it forward. So we're lengthening our spines, still staying neutral, still drawing the shoulders toward the back body. Find your breath, everybody. Internal rotation of the upper thigh, still trying to pop that block out the back. Breathe. And then bend the knees more. Walk the hands back. Take your hands to the knees. Lift your head, neck, chest. And come on up and take that block out. Whew. And shake that out. All right. So if you are willing, if that did not hurt, I want you to take the block second width and bring it as high as is comfortable. I always think of riding a horse, even though I don't ride horses. This always feels like what that must feel like. Right. So this is a move from Steve Weiss, who's a yoga teacher and a chiropractor. And he talks about broadening, making space in the hips. And this is one way to do this, kind of no matter, I won't say no matter, but for a lot of people with various hips and hip stuff. So he said, even if you've had a hip replacement, this is a really good thing to do. You do you, so don't do it if it feels horrible. Now, does this feel great? No. Does it feel horrible? No. It feels kind of uncomfortably interesting. So pause again, and then come back to the idea of mountain pose. So Meryl, bring your feet in a lot if you can. Okay. Yeah, so bring your feet in where you can. Same thing, get into the big toe mound. You're going to feel a lot of pressure on the inner thighs. Bring the shins toward each other. Keep the thighs back, keep the knees soft. Tailbone is long, low belly is toned. The shoulders are to the back body. And just breathe. Please don't lock out the knees. It's probably the biggest thing here. Ooh, yep. Hang on. Inhale, reach up. If this is torture, by the way, go back to the narrow, bend the knees, take your hands to your knees. Same thing we just did. Lengthen through the tailbone here so you don't arch your back. Keep the soft bend in that knees. It's a decent bend of the knees. Lengthen your spine. If you're comfortable, hands down to your shins. Press into your shins. Press the shins back into your hands. Lengthen your spine. tone the low belly in, deeply in toward the spine. If you're comfortable here, stay. If you're uncomfortable here but can stay, stay. Otherwise, bend the knees more, fingertips to the floor. I know this doesn't feel marvelous. Hang in there. We're almost done. External rotation of the shoulders. And then hands back to your shins. Lengthen your spine. Hands work up, lift up, stand up, and take that block out. Whew. And feel the blood flow right back in there. It's like, wow, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. What do we do there? How did we do that? What did it feel like? Take the blocks to the front of your mat. Take them up nice and high. You're standing behind them. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down to your blocks. Here we are again, this time no block, right? Walk the feet back so that your ankles and your hips are in a nice line. Your hands are softly resting on the blocks. The shoulders are drawing back and down. The low belly is toned in. Everything else is the same. Back of the knees are not locked. And breathe. Maybe shake the hips a little bit side to side. Right? As if you could wrap the hip around the corner, like around that side. Just rock side to side. And then come to neutral. Tone in through the belly. Squeeze your belly and imagine going into a cat pose right here. So I'm rounding everything. My top of my head is dropped toward the floor. And then move from the tailbone, start to lift the pelvis or tilt the pelvis. Start to release through the hips, lift the chest. The head lifts a little, don't overlift here. And then exhale, curl everything back in. There's small movement here. And inhale, reach up, cow pose. Knees are soft. Notice if you're locking. One more time. Curl out. And released. Open it up. And then come to neutral. Lighten up those hands. Again, slide the left big toe back. Press into your standing leg. Squeeze into the belly. Lift the left leg. Breathe. Flex the foot. Internally rotate that leg a little bit. So inner thigh reaching up toward the ceiling. If we had that block there, we're squeezing the block. The inner thigh of the left leg would be squeezing up toward the ceiling. And lower it down. Shake that out. When you're ready, second side, and then we'll get some blood flow back in these heads of ours. Good. Open up the shoulders. Slide the big toe of your right foot back. Pause. Squeeze in through the left hip. Lift the right leg. Think about the internal rotation of the upper leg. Breathe. And lower down. Bend both knees, take both hands to your knees and come on up to standing and roll that out. It's amazing how sometimes you can like slow everything down. It's like, right? So what's happening? We were squeezing the block. The inner thighs rolled in. I'm exaggerating, which opens this up, which widens the sit bones, right? So there we are. When we lift the leg back, can we find the same slight internal rotation so that when we take the leg back, it doesn't go off to the side? Let's do that one more time. Inhale. My sister's going, no, I can't do it. Or, no, don't do it again. Inhale. Exhale, hands to blocks. I always walk my feet back some once I'm there so that my hip, outer ankle, outer hip bone lines up. Tone the belly in, watch those low backs. Slide the left foot back. Think about that internal rotation. And one more hint is look at your left foot before you lift it. If that heel is turned inward, you're externally rotating. So you want internal rotation. Squeeze the belly, lift the leg. Don't overlift. It's coming right out from the hip. Good. Meryl, flex your foot. Breathe. Squeeze in through the belly. Notice where you are on the right foot. Are you locking out the knee? Are you back in the heel? And slowly lower. Same thing, other side. Tone in through the belly. You don't want a flat back. You want a neutral back. Slide the right foot back. Maybe you look at it, see if it's nice and straight, and then flex the foot as you lift the leg. Find your breath, everybody. That's it. Keep that standing leg working. No kidding. And lower that down. Woo, bend both knees. Take your hands to your knees. Come on up. Roll the shoulders back. Grab one block. I did say this is the warm up, right? The yang portion of our class. So take that block between the thighs. Does not have to be up really high this time. So should be comfortable. Your feet are parallel to each other. Inhale, reach up. Hands to heart. Go ahead and come into a chair pose. So what are we doing in chair? Look at your feet. They're parallel to each other, right? We find the knees back away from the feet. I know some of this is super basic for everybody. Press those knees back. Tone in through the belly. Lift the chest. Find your breath. Arms reach out. Tiny squeeze of the block. The block is like a spacer. If you've ever seen tile work done, they put the little spacers between the tiles, right? These are the spacers. So Sissy, lift the chest, but lengthen the tailbone a bunch. Yeah, there you go. Breathe. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, swan dive down. Hands are to the floor or to your shins. Press that block back. Soften the back of the knees. Look at your feet, your knee, reaching straight line up toward the hip. Bend the knees, everybody. Sit way back. Take your hands to your knees. The tailbone drops as the chest lifts. Chair pose. Whew. It was cool in here. Now it feels warm in here. Big deep breath. Squeeze the belly. Soften the fingers. Stand all the way up. Exhale, swan dive down. We've got one more just like that. Breathe, lengthen the sit bones. Bend the knees. Look up, hands to knees. Take the chest up. It is this opposing motion. Chest lifts, tailbone, sacrum drop down so that we don't sit here, arms out. Big deep breath. You got this. Find the pose. Imagine holding onto a beach ball, but relax the fingers. Stand all the way up. Exhale, let go. Whew. Take that block back out. Take it to the front of your mat and just kind of feel, right? What's happening as we kind of shake it out, warm it up, roll the shoulders. All right, here we go. Lift up. Soft knees, exhale down. You can place your hands on your blocks. Just make sure they are at second or lowest level. Bend the knees, step back with your right leg. Just come into a nice, easy lunge. Imagine the same principles here. This front leg, almost like the inner thigh, is rolling back and down. The leg is really neutral. So your foot is straight, comes up from the knee, points into the hip, but it's almost this deep opening of the sit bone there. Your knee should be pointing toward that fourth or fifth, fifth being pinky toe. The spine lengthens, the back leg gets strong. Hands come to your knee. Notice if you had to move a lot from hands to blocks to hands to knee. Squeeze the belly, lift the chest. Inhale, reach up. Find the breath. Watch your knees, Miss Merrill, if that's bothering you. Woo. Front hip, deep dives. Deep dives in. Press through the back leg. Find the pose. Nothing else going on. Imagine you're squeezing a block between your thighs. Exhale, hands to your blocks. Move the blocks just barely off your mat. Step back, down dog. Once you're in down dog, let's pedal it out on purpose. Don't let the shoulders collapse here. Keep the upper body strong. Just stretch it out. And breathe. And then hold the down dog. Spread your fingers. Claw the very tips of your fingers down. Come onto your tippy toes. And breathe. Imagine there is a block between your thighs. Breathe. Lower the heels. Look through your hands. Step forward with your right foot. Step forward with your left foot. Take your time. Move the blocks back onto your mat. And inhale all the way up. Exhale. Take it out. Whew. Right, it is kind of interesting. I always find if I slow it down, it's like, ooh, 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 ooh. You know, it's like everything kind of like everything lines up more. Everything has an opportunity to line up more when we slow it down. Okay, doesn't always, but all right, second side. Open up the shoulders. This is mountain pose, right? This should be your go-to grounding pose. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come on down. Knees are always soft here. Breathe. Soften the knees, step back, left leg. Take the time. I always look at my back foot. Not everybody can keep the back foot straight, but I look at the back foot and I look to see it straight. Because if my back foot is straight, I don't see my heel. If I don't see my heel, chances are my leg is in a neutral position, not internally or externally rotated. Same with the front foot, knee to ankle, the knee heading toward that fourth or fifth toe. Squeeze the imaginary block. Tone in through the belly. When you're ready, take your hands to your knee. Lift your chest. Adriana, you're a little bit long, I think. Would shorten up, whoop, just a little bit. Inhale, reach up. Lenny, press the heel back. But then see if you can straighten the back foot so it's not turned in. Nope, nope, nope. Keep going. Now, breathe. Think about this back thigh almost feeling an internal rotation, right? As we lift, as we press, find your breath, and then slowly, slowly, slowly come on down, push off, step forward, bend both knees, take it all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Shake it out. I'm going to turn around so I can watch Meryl this time. Oh, joy. Hard to do when you're on Zoom. All right, mountain pose. We're going to add on to this just a little bit. So find the pose, find mountain pose. Breathe. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, soft knees, take it down. Imagine that block between your thighs. Press the inner upper, way deep, upper thighs back toward the back room or back behind you. The knees are soft. I never lock out my knees anymore, not on purpose. Breathe. Soften both knees, step back right leg. Find that lunge. We were here already. Your feet are hips width apart. The back leg is neutral. If I look at my back foot, I don't see my heel. The front hip rolls back so that the knee can point toward that fourth or fifth toe. Find that. And then press through the back foot. Take your hands to your knee, lift up. We're back in a lunge. Inhale, reach up. Find your breath. Squeeze the belly. You should feel both hips pretty much squared, pretty much straight on. Take your hands to your heart. Bend the back knee, and then sit back in the back leg a little bit. Easy, easy. Breathe. Did something change? Imagine squeezing. Woo! Imagine squeezing a block between your thighs. Good. Reach forward, hands to your blocks. Set the blocks ahead. Plant your hands downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Find your breath. See, down dog feels so good, right? Now, listen up. Tone the belly, especially Adriana, because her low back loves to dive here. So squeeze pubic bone up toward the belly button. Look at your right foot. Slide your right foot back. Lift it up. Keep it neutral. Inner thigh spinning up. Find your breath. Lower that foot. Bend both knees. Straighten both legs. We're going to do the other side before we rest. So step forward with your right leg. Got your block. Step forward, left leg. Bend both knees. Come on up. Exhale it down and breathe. Shake it out. So all the same stuff applies, right? It's like, I don't know if it makes sense to you that, if we were to exaggerate the inner rotation, you can't help but spread the sit bones. So if we can do it in a subtle way to create the space, like that block between the thighs, creating that space. Do the second side. And then when we lift the leg, it's not doing all this wonky stuff, right? It's staying in alignment. All right. Huh? Tweeze. I don't know tweeze. Okay. I don't know tweeze, but oh, sure. So that's an interesting term. So externally rotating the shoulders. Yeah. Cool. All right. Tweeze. Let's tweeze our elbows. Here we go. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down to your blocks. Whew. Breathe. Shake out those hips. Ease up on the hamstrings. You know who you are. Soften the knees. Step back, left leg. Make sure those feet are hips width apart and not too narrow. There you go, Meryl. Breathe, right? Because if they're too narrow, you're walking a tightrope. All right, same thing. Look at your back foot. Do you see your heel? If you see your heel, can you not see your heel? Can you turn that foot straight? And then notice the knee will line up, the hip will line up, the belly tones in. Same thing with the front knee. You should be pointing it toward your fourth or fifth toe. That hip drives back. Back leg strengthens the glute, gets really strong. Watch your front knee. Take your hands to your front knee, lift up, whoop, and take the arms up. Simple lunges here, everybody. We do them all day long. Do we pay attention to them? Belly squeezes in, the shoulders draw back. Find your breath. Hands to your heart. Bend the back knee, optional. Sit back in that leg. It's a big old stretch for the thigh muscle, the quadricep. Huh? And the psoas, yeah. Big deep breath, everybody. Whoo! Good. Straighten the arms, straighten the back leg. Take those hands down. Move the blocks out of the way. Step back down dog. Plant the hands. What is it? Squeeze? Tweeze, like tweezers. Draw in. Yeah. So that the shoulders, I've just never heard that term before. All right, tweeze those elbows. You're actually If you all remember, it's like gathering something between the elbows, externally rotating, watch the shoulder joint, and then slide the left foot back. Take a look at it. Flex the foot, lift the leg. Breathe. Hang in there. We're almost there. Level the hips. Find the breath. Lower that left foot. Whew. Bend both knees. Take them to the floor. Widen the knees if it is comfortable, toes towards each other, and come to child's pose. Deep breath. And in your child's pose, imagine lengthening the front body so that you are not toward the top of your head, you're almost forehead and nose, which I know will sound funny, but lengthen your spine so that you are neutral as opposed to rounding. Nice job, everybody. Bring the knees back to neutral. We have one more here, and then we're going to keep it on the floor. So go to down dog. You can take your feet wide on your mat and walk the hands back. Bend the knees. Take your hands to your knees and come on up. Your blocks are back on your mat. So, right. So all this play, and then we think of, we're going to do a variation of Warrior 3 using our blocks. So same, right? The lifted leg isn't just flying off into space. It is very purposefully, lined up. If you were here and this was the foot on the floor, this wouldn't be out here in space somewhere, right? It would be solid straight back from the hip. And that's what we've been playing with. And often we have to draw the inner thigh in to make that happen with that leg. So just kind of keep that in mind and see where you go. So you're back to the front of your mat. Shoulders are open. Whew. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, big all the way down. Soften the knees, step back, right leg. Here we are again. We're going to do everything we did. Squeeze that imaginary block. Draw the shoulders back. Hands to knee. Take the arms up. Breathe. External rotation of those shoulders. Find your breath. Nice tone here. One, you're here. Two, bend the back knee. Sit back in the pose. Find your breath. Maybe even smile here. This is old hat. You could do this all day long. Straighten the back leg. Drop the hands to your blocks. Now, you're going to walk the foot up a little bit and then walk your blocks forward a decent amount. I tend to reach my blocks forward almost as far as they'll go. Because once I push into the standing leg, I want that ankle to hip alignment. The standing leg's hip externally rotates, the wrists are under the shoulders, and the lifted leg, that inner thigh just slightly internally rotates. Now, if you want, you're here. If you want a little more, you're going to take the left hand off your block and just reach it back behind, opening up chest. Deep breath. Standing leg strong. I know this is a lot. Keep the weight at the center of your foot. Lower the hand. Bend the knee. Lower the foot. Woo! Standing hit leg. Got all kinds of work on that one. Bend both knees. Walk those blocks back to your mat. Hands to your knees. Come on up. Anybody hot besides me? No. No, because it's too humid, but let me do that. We won't freeze out my sissy. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Hang on, all of you online. Just a minute. That's what I meant to do. Okay. No, because too much pollen, too much everything out there right now. All right. Second side. Exciting. Shoulders back, mountain pose. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Doesn't that feel good? We just all went, good. Soften the knees, step back, left leg. Same thing. Look at the back foot, look at the back heel. The front hip is actually dropping back and in, right? The back leg, the inner thigh rolls in just a little bit. Hands come to your knee. We've got our nice little lunge. Take the arms up, squeeze the back glute. Try not to claw your poor feet. Hands to heart. Bend the back knee, sit back. That's the hardest part, is just that sit back. Big deep breath. Good. Release. Straighten the back leg, hands to your blocks. You're going to walk your blocks forward, a short step up, just so you have good purchase. And then look at that front foot, push into it to lift the back leg. Front hip externally rotates. Back hip internally rotates. The elbows tweeze in. And if, when you're ready, the right arm just reaches back. Imagine those hips sitting on a table. They're even, right? They're square to the floor. Big deep breath. Release the hand. Release the leg. Holy moly. Soften both knees, hands to the floor. Step back to down dog. Find your breath. Shake it all out. Inhale, tippy toes. Lower those knees to the floor. Child's pose or puppy stretch. Whatever feels good. All right, when you're ready, come on up and have a seat. Now, when you have a seat, maybe you grab your blanket and sit on it. Maybe you grab your strap and have it nearby. Yeah, my blanket just disintegrated. There we go. Maybe have your blocks nearby too. Sorry, sis. Oh, and straighten both legs. And when you sit on the blanket, don't sit all the way on it, but just kind of inchworm forward so that the flesh moves back onto the blanket and the entire thigh is on the floor, if that makes sense to you, as opposed to part on, part off the floor. Roll your shoulders. And breathe. Good. And then just slide one leg up, just one leg. And breathe. Hold on to that knee. Press the elbows into the side body. Lift the other leg. That was evil. Was that an evil laugh right there? Where did that come from? Right? So weird. Okay. So weird. All right. So what happened, right? What happened here? We lifted that leg. Holy moly, there's that thigh again. We had to lift it the same way we've been lifting it all class. So lower that leg back down. Goodness gracious. Think about that. The inner thigh is actually going toward the floor. I'm not internally rotating, but I want to keep it neutral. So as I lift, I tone the belly, I lift the chest, I draw the shoulder blades down, I lift that leg. Breathe. The foot is straight up and down. Whoo. And lower down. I know I said there's yin coming, so I better hurry up and get to it, right? Straight in the other leg. I get so excited sometimes. Same thing, other side. I want you to hold on like good to that leg. Draw the shoulders back, the elbows drop to your side. Flex that foot. Think about it. The inner thigh is actually dropping down, lining everything up. Lift the leg. Ooh, find your breath. And lower. Good. Switch sides again. We're not going to do that lift again, I promise. Step over, lift up nice and tall. If you're mirroring me, it's your left leg straight. Whichever side leg is straight, take the same side arm, wrap it around the knee, lift the chest, and then turn. I want your head to be the last one. The head to be the last thing to move. Once the body has twisted, the head can move into its, you can do that. But I might ask why in your particular body, because you don't want more support. So Meryl's over here. You can't see her. She's a yoga teacher, and she and I are always like, oh, why this, why that? So I'm doing this. She's doing this, also appropriate. But my question would be why? The first thing I saw was that your shoulder went up. The second thing is we have to be super careful of pivot points. We don't want more necessarily. It is why I like this. I personally prefer this better, only because I'm not using this as my pivot. Both are okay. Neither one is wrong. Yeah. So then we move the body, and then the head goes, oh, look at all this space I have. Foot is flexed. Breathe. And come on, center, everybody. Release. Does that make, yeah. So, there's, yeah. And so let's do the other side. We'll play with that idea too. So bend the other leg. That's it's hard to do this and this at the same time. All right, so everybody step over. But I mean, they're all important questions. Why I think do my workshop. Lift the chest. Bottom leg is straight, foot is flexed, the chest is lifted. Ideally, in twist, we shouldn't use anything. We honestly should not use anything to pull because it's not really as beneficial to the spine. So, what if we lift, take the arms to cactus? I want you to play here, everybody. And then twist, 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 twist. Bring the head where it's going to go. And then set the hands down, but don't grab anything. Don't push off anything. Open the shoulders. Breathe. Now, the straight leg arm, just take it and wrap it around your leg like it's getting that other side, sissy. Yep, other arm. You twisted opposite. So take that other arm back. Nope. Take your right arm behind. There you go. And notice you don't need this pivot. So whether I put my elbow outside or inside, it doesn't really matter if I'm not using that as my ratchet, right? That makes sense? Yeah. So, oh, I know, right? And come back to center and release and shake that out. All right. So, for fear that this whole class will go this way and not this way, which is not necessarily a bad thing if you could all hear everything. We'll leave it at that for now. All right, good. Relax those legs. And then come to Janu Sirsasana. So go back to the first leg, which is my right leg, possibly your left. Take a block, whether you need it or not, and place it underneath your knee. Take a look at the long leg and see if it is straight out from the as its bone, the anterior superior iliac spine, that little bony thing at the front of the pelvis. So see if that leg is straight out from there. Grab your strap. Take it around your foot. Draw the elbows in. Externally rotate the shoulders. So I'm using a block here on purpose because I want this leg to relax and I want the hips to stay level. So pull the strap back, draw the shoulder blades back, tone the low belly in, and think mountain pose, right? Kind of odd here, but it is the upper body version of mountain. Everything is in alignment, right? And we breathe. And I'm purposefully pressing back. Breathe. Now grab the strap in one hand, the same side hand as the leg. Bend the strap or bend the knee. Huh? And take the leg up, other arm out. See if you can keep the leg straight in front of you with a softness to the back knee. That's the hard part, right? Because I want to like really press it up there, but I want the back of the knee soft. You're going to have a little bit of lean back and then take the leg out. Slowly lower it down. Release your strap. Now you're in this wide leg, Janu. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, teeny swan dive. Hands come forward. If the block is throwing you off at that point, take the block out. If it is not throwing you off and you feel comfortable, then leave it in. And just pause. This long leg, the inner thigh is actually dropping to the floor. If you look, the center line of the knee, center line of your foot. And breathe. Now, some of you are super flexible and can just drop down. I am not one of those people in this particular pose. Wide leg does not work for me body-wise. So I stay pretty high and I'm happy here. So it's all good. Deep breath. Tweezer, squeezer, I don't know, elbows in, right? So if they're out there, squeeze them in. Twizzer, what was it? Tweeze, like tweezing your eyebrows. Tweeze your elbows in, or wrap them in to externally rotate the shoulders. Yeah, good. Come on up. Come on up. Slide the leg in. You're back to Janu. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, swan dive. Pause. Lay. Lengthen. Yep. Your long leg is back to neutral. Block can be under your knee or not. I invite you to take the rounding out of your back if you can. How do we do that? By lengthening the front of the body. Find your breath, everybody. And release, come on up. Straighten the bent knee, shake it all out. Good, let's go to the other side. Start in Janu with a block under the knee. Move the flesh out from the sit bone, the thigh. Just kind of, it really is neutral, but it feels like an internal rotation as the inner thigh drops to the floor. Shoulders open up, grab your strap. Take it behind, around your foot. Bring the elbows in, drop the shoulder blades down. And just breathe. Just reach it back. Just feel this idea of mountain pose here. And then hold the strap in one hand, bend the knee, take the leg up, the other arm can reach up. Belly squeezes. Take the leg out to the side. You can release the strap or not. Lower the leg. Whew. Release the block or not. Again, up to you. Check the long legs foot pointing straight ahead. Inhale, everybody. Exhale, swan dive. Take it forward. Any indication of pain is an indication to do something different. Okay. So if this feels really yucky, especially if it feels yucky in the long leg, I would bend the knee or take a block under the knee. I should have said that on the other side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then imagine the front body lengthening. And just breathe. Just feel this. Good. Come on up. Roll the shoulders back. Slide the sideways leg forward. Everything pointing in the same direction. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, swan dive down. Find your pose. Deep breath, everybody. And come on up. Ooh, straighten that leg. Just take one block between your thighs and toes point up. Squeeze your block. Oh, that feels good. And release. All right, so I want you to do some prep for what's coming. If you have a strap, and I should have done this in the studio beforehand, go ahead and put your strap in a loop. And set that aside. I want you to take your blanket. I think this will work with the girls over there. You're going to open up your blanket long and put one edge of your blanket on one edge of your mat, of the long edge of your mat, and then the rest of it is just going to be out to the side. So, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Make it neat. So the one short edge of your blanket is going along the one long edge of your mat. The rest of it is out off to the side. And I know it's hard to see some of that. Um, uh, it's kind of in the middle of your mat. Thanks for that question, that clarification. Yeah. And Sissy, you might have to bring yours a little closer to your feet or a little further this way toward me. Just a little bit. Yeah. Because we're going to lay on this and it's going to come underneath your hips. So have your blocks where you can get to them. Have your strap where you can get to that. And come on down. So when you lay down, you're going to feel your little blanket. And it should be basically at the just underneath the low ribs, or easier way to say that, it should cover your lower back down to when you straighten the legs, it'll cover the top parts of your thighs. But keep your knees bent, grab your strap. Take the strap around your left foot, take the left foot up to the ceiling. Find a neutral spine. What does that mean? Especially here, I don't want a flat back. I want a neutral spine. So I'm going to lean into that sacrum a little bit and straighten the right leg. Just hold. Nothing else to do. Just breathe, everybody. Take a look at the long leg. We've been doing this all class. And see if you can notice the center of the knee, the center line of your foot. If you felt back up your thigh, you would find that front hip bone. Everything's nice and lined up. The bottom leg is active, the toes are pointing up. Find your breath. Only if you want, take your hands into the other side of the loop. Interlace the hands. Watch the buckle. Let me move my buckle out of the way. And just let the hands float overhead. So I've just got a soft interlace of the arms. I'm not overdoing anything here. If this is too much of a stretch on your left leg, bend your right knee, put your right foot on the floor. If it is still too much, just let go of the strap with those hands. Breathe. So the arms are just suspended overhead. I'm not doing anything. I'm not pulling. Breathe. Can you, one, let go here? Two, keep it soft and not make it more than it is. It is already a pretty substantial stretch, but I'm not making it more than that. I'm not pulling, tugging, deepening, not doing any of it. Hold on to your strap. Bend the left knee, bring it into chest. Release the strap, but keep the knee in your chest. And then release that leg all the way down. Ooh. Bend both knees, both feet to the floor. Strap goes around the right foot. The foot is flexed. Gonna pause here. If that feels good, straighten the left leg. Hang out here for a little bit. Whew. Just notice. So in yin, this is not really yin. This is just a longer, slower, more observational hold. But in yin, we go slow, we do longer holds, and we kind of wait, but with a little less alignment, except the way I teach it. so, so just pause. Let that hip, that right hip, be heavy. And then only if you want, the hands go inside the strap. There's a little soft interlace. The strap is really around the wrists. And I'm just gonna hang. I'm gonna hang out here and see what happens. And let the shoulders be soft and heavy, and the elbows are soft. And for some, maybe a deeper bend in the straight leg or just a softness to that knee. Deep breath, everybody. Don't make it more than it is. I know how tempting it is to go deeper and more. but there's no reason here. Good, bend the knee, release your strap, keep that knee to chest. Straighten the leg fully, just have that experience of how that feels. Whew. Grab one block, place that, bend both knees, both feet to the floor. Take the block underneath your sacrum. Please make sure it is under your sacrum and not in the lower back. So listen up. We're going to do two things in this configuration. And the first one is right knee to chest. The hands softly interlace underneath that knee. I'm not pulling the knee in. I'm just keeping it in its spot. And then very slowly straighten the left leg. Watch your SI joints here. If you feel, a little pinch point at the back body near your sacrum, then I would keep the left knee bent more. Okay. But then relax both feet. You don't even have to hold the knee if you don't want to. I like to just let my arms relax. My hands are resting on the belly. So a lot of what we did today, as Adriana mentioned, right? Psoas, a lot of quad work today. So we're just gonna chill out here. We're gonna let the shoulders be heavy. The head is neutral. We're gonna allow the breath to expand and release. And we're gonna see if there's any allowing for the deep belly and the upper and possibly inner thighs to release. Remember to relax your feet, don't flex them. Nope, it's on the floor. Big deep breath. Let it all out. Deep breath in and let it go. Good. Bend the left knee. Slide the left knee toward your chest and just slowly, slowly switch sides. So the right leg will straighten. The left knee will be in the direction of your chest. I'm not pulling it in. I'm not rounding my lower back. I'm just hanging out here, letting that block be the grounding that we need here for the spine. Try to soften into this. Relax the jaw, relax the breath. Slowly slide the right foot in. Both knees are bent. Both legs straighten up toward the ceiling. Hands, usually for most, the hands are down to our sides. The shoulders are down, the palms are face up. And we find a little hover point for the legs here, a little inversion. Inversions tend to be calming. Forward folds, I should say, tend to be calming for the nervous system. And this variation of legs up the wall is also very calming, very restorative. Allow this sacrum to be heavy. Whether you're flat on your sacrum or at the upper tip of your sacrum, that's up to you. Whatever feels good as long as it isn't cranky on your low back. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And bend the knees, bring them toward your chest. 1 foot at a time, 1 foot down, the other foot down. Pause here, restorative bridge pose. Press into your feet, lift the hips, take the block out. Now here's our setup. This is your Shavasana. So as best you can, I realize it could be a little tricky. You're just going to grab your blocks and take them down so that when you straighten your legs, the blocks are either behind the knees or at the kind of top end of the calf muscles, which feels surprisingly good. So that's your first setup. Your second setup is going to be to grab your loop, take your legs through your loop. I like to double my loop, but I don't think I'll do it for this one. I want you to, once you have the loop there, tighten up that loop. The strap is right around the middle of your thighs. Just tighten, tighten, tighten until you are roughly hips width apart. Once you have that, I like to take the tail end of that strap, wrap it around a second or third time, and just kind of tuck the tail of it in somewhere, just so that the strap is giving me, I've got a strap around a couple. Before you straighten the legs, the final setup here, this is a restorative, roughly restorative pose. You're going to take your blanket, lift the hips, and just slide the short end of your blanket around your hips. So I had to pull it a little bit to the one side, and you're just going to wrap it around your belly, nice and tight. And then you're going to take the long end of your blanket and you're going to squeeze it across as tight as you can. It may or may not stay. You can take the corner of the blanket and tuck it in so it tucks in and stays. You're making a little papoose here. Once you have your blanket where you want it, your strap where you want it, your blocks where you want it, if you don't kick them like I just did, you're going to straighten those legs and you're going to find Shavasana. Now this should feel good. It's like swaddling a baby, right? We've swaddled the hips, we've swaddled the legs. We've released the backs of the knees by using the blocks. And then just let go. Your hands can be at your sides. They can also just rest on your belly. I like that softening of the shoulders, so I often will do that in Shavasana. The eyes are closed. The legs are heavy, the strap containing them, so we don't have to worry about them going anywhere. And we allow the shoulders to melt. We allow the belly to soften. The eyes close, the pools of the eyes softening toward the back. And we just let go. Feel yourself settle in for a deep rest here. Soften the shoulders and the chest. And soften even more. If you are blissfully happy and can stay in Shavasana longer, please do. If you are ready to start to wiggle those feet, maybe circle the ankles, maybe take the arms overhead and stretch. Maybe start to unwrap yourself, bringing the knees to the chest, taking the strap off your legs. Bring the knees to the chest. Allow your knees to roll over to one side. Excuse me. And then press up. That was a Shavasana that could have gone a lot longer. That felt so good. All right, my loves. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale to your heart. Namaste, everyone. Namaste. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that.